It's mine. That's mine. Remember saying that when you were younger? Now I'll be honest, have you ever been jealous over someone's new phone, new toy, or new laptop? It's new. Everyone wants it. And you're kind of upset because someone has something that you don't. What was the first thought that came into your head? I'm sure you wish you had it. But did you ever wish they would misplace it? Giving you the opportunity to take it without anyone knowing? Everyone has intrusive thoughts. Stealing is usually one of them. If you steal something from someone, you'll take it away from them without their permission and without intending to return it. You know it's wrong. But why do people do it? Is it the desire to own the item, or is it the thrilling idea of taking someone else's property? But what if you're not the one doing the deed? What if you found someone stealing? What would you do then? Well, in today's story, let's take a look at how a teacher deals with his student and a stolen watch. Learn how to deal with stealing, how to hold someone accountable, and how to untap your potential. Welcome to Untapping Your Potential, where we will share with you motivational stories, motivational figures, comeback stories, and public speaking tips that will keep you growing and inspire you to take action. Once upon a time, a man walked into a coffee shop and saw his favorite teacher back when he was in elementary school. They hadn't seen each other in over 30 years. The younger man, just shy of 40, said, "Do you remember me, Mr. Morgan?" The older man, almost 80 now, said, "No, I'm sorry, I don't." The young man answered, "I was your student around 30 years ago. I'm John Desmond, sir." The old man's eyes brightened up. "Sure, now I remember. I didn't recognize you because you weren't wearing a beard then." They both laughed and started to share memories. Morgan asked, "What are you up to nowadays?" John replied, "Well, I found a job I liked and worked my way up. I became a teacher, and now I'm a principal." Morgan smiled and said, "Oh, so you sort of ended up like me." John smiled and said, "Yes, in fact, I wanted to become an educator because you inspired me." "Oh, how so?" Morgan was curious. John was gladly happy to answer, and he began to tell the story. One day, Jerry, one of my classmates, he came in with a beautiful new watch. Now, I couldn't afford one like that. My family wasn't rich enough for that. And a few days later, he left the watch in his pencil case when he went out for lunch. And that's when I stole it. When he came back from lunch, he saw that the watch was gone, and he told you about it. The old man nodded. "Yes, I recall that." John continued, "Just before we all went home, you got everyone together and said that Jerry's watch had been stolen. And whoever did it, please return it before we leave." And I didn't give it back. I wanted the watch, but I was also afraid of what could happen if I returned it. John looked down, avoiding Morgan's eyes, because he still felt bad about it. John continues, "Then you told us to form a circle, close our eyes, and hold our hands behind our back. You would pass behind us with the basket, tag each of us with it, and whoever took the watch would drop the watch into that basket." Both men were now locked into an old event. John said, "You went from person to person, and when you got to me, you saw the watch in my hand, tapped me with the basket, and I dropped it in. The strange thing is that, out of the corner of my eye, I saw you continue to walk slowly behind each other, stopping briefly at each one. Then, when you had made it around the circle, you announced that you had the watch, and everybody could go home." John was expecting to be disciplined. The old man grinned, and John added, "You didn't tell Jerry or anyone that it was me. You didn't report me to the principal for stealing, and you didn't call me into your office for scolding. In fact, you never mentioned that incident again. You protected my dignity that day, when I expected you to expose me for the thief that I was." The old man smiled as John continued, "So you see, Mr. Morgan, you turned the most shameful day of my life into a lesson I would never forget. I received your message clearly. I learned what a real leader was like and how to handle people and tough situations. That's the day I decided to turn my life around and make something out of myself. I wanted to be like you and be a teacher. And I'm so glad that I had the chance to see you, and I'm glad you remember what happened that day. Morgan looked at his former student and said, John, I remember everything, but I never knew who took the watch until just now. You see, I closed my eyes while I walked around the circle. John was stunned. All this time he thought he had to repay his teacher for not humiliating him in front of his classmates. John should have noticed that Morgan never had treated him differently after that day. He was now even more grateful about his teacher. Even though he hadn't been in his class for over 30 years, it felt like he had learned something new again. This is the essence of teaching. If you humiliate others to prove a point, you don't know how to teach. Do not humiliate people. Shame is a lifetime lasting effect that can be nursed but can never be cured. Why do you think Mr. Morgan closed his eyes as he walked around the circle of the students? Is it possible he felt he wouldn't be able to completely trust that person again, so he chose not to know? If you think about it, look into John's mind when he was younger. Why did he steal? Many times people steal because they're greedy, and some people even find it thrilling. But for John's case, he really liked the watch, and he saw an opportunity to get it. However, when the rich classmate told the teacher, Mr. Morgan, about the stolen watch, how did John feel? He felt anxious. He couldn't think straight, and he could already feel the punishment going his way before anyone knew he had the watch. Besides the emotional pull on the thief, how would the victim feel? If someone had loses a prize medal they had won during the Olympics, not only do they lose the monetary value of the medal, but also feel upset that the symbol of recognition they had gotten for all the hard work and victory is now gone. Stealing is a hateful thing. Not only are you hurting the person you stole from, but you're stealing your own dignity. Sophie Burton. And what if you're Mr. Morgan? What if you're the person who was assigned to find out the thief in this situation? It is important as a teacher that you don't embarrass someone in public. Rather, you correct someone in private. Because it's always been a mystery to me how people can disrespect themselves when they humiliate other humans. Mahatma Gandhi. This means publicly humiliating someone can bring corrosion that will bring down all you've built and blocked out what you really desire, like friendship and other connections. Their loyalty will be weakened and their motivation to succeed will be diminished, if not damaged. If Mr. Morgan caught John stealing a watch, how do you think the teacher will look at this student? He won't trust John that easily. And as for John, he wouldn't think too kindly of Mr. Morgan. All because humiliation is followed by anger or even rage, which becomes even more dangerous when the anger is suppressed and out of the person's awareness. And because of Mr. Morgan's decision to close his eyes while looking for the watch, he returned the watch to its owner. He was able to teach a lesson about stealing, and John became a teacher himself due to Mr. Morgan's way of showing him. So remember, save face and don't humiliate someone, but do hold them accountable. Thanks for watching this video. How would you like to hear more motivational stories on a consistent basis? Do me a favor and support the channel by sharing, commenting below, and please make sure to like and hit that subscribe button to get the latest updates. Soon, you will be on your way to feeling inspired.